Hello and welcome to Azur Meta. If after this video you want to help support the channel, please check out my affiliate store at kit.co/AzurLaneMeta. Howdy gentlemen, we have another data mine for you today. It involves the idolmaster collab event. Before we get into the 7 new ships, let me talk about some things from the patch notes that are coming after maintenance. Not too much today. Challenge mode season 9 is in here for those of you who care. New skins, rental outfits. We'll talk about event gear a little bit later in the data mine. We also get this new starter pack for PR4. If you are a whale, this is a great way to get a head start on PR4 research that's not the UR dive bomber, but you can get early access to the German fighter. The only other important thing about this event is there will be no oathing of any of the idols. You can only give them tiaras. No marriage. You're getting tiara zoned, even by your favorite anime waifus. This is a collab event, so we're not expecting these ships to be very meta. I hope they're not meta, actually. I hope they're just good for new players, maybe some interesting stuff, but I'd be a little bit disappointed if these exclusive ships would be meta-defining, so don't expect that. Also, I have a little bit of forewarning about what these ships do, unlike I do in a lot of other data mines, because they gave us a ton of leaks during the live stream. Also note, collab events run with SP 1 through 4 and a VSP. This is different from regular major events. SP4 is the map that you usually want to grind. In this event, that will drop the Neptunia gun. This gun doesn't have much of a purpose outside of being a good auxiliary gun for battleships, so new players can grind this without having to do PR1 research. Actually, for newer players, this is a really nice drop. Older players, this isn't that lucrative to spend all your oil on, but you might be grinding PR4, so you're going to do it regardless. There's only one new item. It isn't a music item, surprisingly. It gives evasion and hit stat. Those are good. It's like an SG radar, but reversed. Its skill is locked to idolmaster, so it's a meme skill, not very good. This item's like, okay, pick it up. It's unique. It won't be coming back ever. So now that we started with the equipments first, surprisingly, let's get into the actual 7 ships. Starting off, we have the SR light cruiser Haruka. Her stats remind me a lot of Belfast, actually. She's a mid-tier light cruiser. Actually, she's better than Belfast in terms of efficiencies and a little tankier. Let's move down to the skills. 10% chance every second. Wow, that's a lot of proc chances. That's gonna happen a lot. Deal 43 damage to herself? We're going the wrong way here. What the heck? 3 seconds after triggering, heal herself and the lowest HP ship in the Vanguard for 5%. This is capped at 2 times per battle. 5% is a good heal. I wonder if this stacks with herself. For example, if she's the only Vanguard ship, will she get 10% or will it just not trigger? Not sure on that, but it's a nice self-heal and it will likely trigger at 10% chance every second. Pretty good. Second skill. On the second launch of this ship's torpedo weapons in a battle, okay, weird, cause all enemies on screen to take 15% more damage for 5 seconds. Remember that she has a preloaded torp, so this will be literally after the first reload of torpedoes. After triggering, so that's after the second launch of the torpedoes, gain 8% self-damage reduction on each next self-torp weapon launch. So this would be the 3rd and 4th, because this stacks a max of 2 times, and these last until the end of the battle. So your first torpedo launch does nothing, but that's preloaded. Your second torpedo launch gives you a 15% damage buff for 5 seconds. This affects all enemies on screen, and the boost applies to all of your ships. This is a really good alternative to Helena. The 3rd and 4th ones reduce damage reduction by 8% and 16% cumulative, and then after that, I mean, honestly, you're not going to fire 5 torpedo launches in a battle. Really good skill, actually. Then she has this special barrage. It's got torpedoes in it, so it's a torpedo barrage. Overall, pretty good for what I expected in a collab ship. I'd put her around where Kirov is in the tier list. Very good for new players. We will have to see what the rest of the event holds. Next up, we have Chihaya. She is a carrier. Stat-wise, actually, she looks very similar to an Essex-class carrier, stat-wise. Her torpedo bomber slot has the 140 efficiency, which is nice, instead of vice versa. Oh, and she's a 233 carrier instead of a 332 carrier. That's really nice. She gets an extra torpedo bomber over the standard loadout, and she gives up a very lame fighter for it. Overall, this is a really solid setup right now. Let's see if the skills hold up good. On the first airstrike of the battle, 80% chance to fire a barrage, okay? 100% to trigger that barrage on all other airstrikes other than the first one, okay? That's decent. And then if there's another idolmaster ship in the fleet, just one other one, the first one also triggers at 100%. So basically a barrage on airstrike. Let's look at this barrage. Damn, that barrage is a nice, slow screen clear. This is a very good mobbing barrage right here. It's slow, it will clean up waves, it hits everything on map, does a lot of damage. If you put this with any other idolmaster ship, and that's gonna do very well. Actually, the light cruiser we saw earlier is not too bad to pair with her and just have those two, but we'll have to see what the other 5 will look like. And we're not even done with her yet. She has 2 more skills. Skill number 2, gain 5% aviation and reload, the 2 good stats for a carrier, for each enemy sunk in battle. That stacks 3 times to 15%. If there's another idolmaster ship in the fleet, you start the battle at 15%. You start the battle at cap. Great, fantastic stat boost right there. You're gonna have an idolmaster with her probably for that 100% chance on the first skill. Yeah, not much to say other than makes her more tanky. Let's see what the third one is. If it's a pre-launch, then she's going to be pretty good. If it's not, then she's going to be standard with the Essex class. First airstrike load time reduced by 30%. Well, we're almost there. 30% reduction is actually pretty good. Idolmaster ships in the fleet take 10% less damage. This is kind of like a weaker version of Graf Zeppelin. Overall, this ship is basically locked to Idolmaster to get all of her max stuff, but isn't too hampered to go by herself. This is a really strong carrier, actually. You might actually use her. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is probably going to be the banner target. I would be a little bit scared if they made any of these collab ships any stronger than this carrier. This is a very solid carrier. Moving on, we have Iori. She's a battleship, also from the gacha. Stat-wise, she looks like a little bit weaker version of Monarch, all the way around, even from efficiencies to stats. So let's see if her skills make her any better than Monarch. Self-deal 15% more damage. That's a damage increase, only on herself though, against heavy armor enemies. This could be effective if the rest of her skills load out to her being a boss fleet takedown. She could be relevant for heavy armor opponents. Mob fleets tend not to have heavy armor enemies, so hopefully she's a boss fighter. 100% chance to fire a barrage upon firing the main guns. It's guaranteed. A lot of damage here. It reminds me a lot of New Jersey's barrage, which is great. This is a really nice barrage. This ship has potential here with decent stats and a good barrage here and extra damage during a specific type, so she is niche to heavy armor. Let's go on to skill 2 here. At the start of the battle, self and a random other ship in the fleet take 12% less damage for 30 seconds. Okay, not exactly a damage increase, but let's see. After 30 seconds, heal the other ship for 10% of its HP. Okay, so we have a heal and a damage reduction. Has nothing to do with being a boss fleet here. In fact, having the heal like this feels more like a mob fleet. It is kind of nice that the heal is 30 seconds delayed. I'd prefer 20 seconds delayed, but we do have the damage reduction, which is nice. Overall, this BB is not bad either. It feels weird because skill 2 is more for mobbing with the heal, and skill 1 feels more like bossing because it's for a specific target. Overall, this is a good ship that can fit many roles. Very good for new players. I still like Hanukkah from the Dead or Alive collab a little bit better, but overall, if you're a new player, this is a great barrage battleship if you don't have another barrage battleship. Monarch or any of the other barrage battleships in PR take a lot more effort, and most of the other ones are event exclusive. So if you're brand new, this is a great pickup for you. It will take you pretty far. Not necessarily sure this is something that you're going to have to reach if you are a veteran player, but that heavy armor might be kind of nice. All right, we're going to move on to the last SR. She's a heavy cruiser. You can buy her in the shop. Azusa. Man, she's tanky. Honestly, she's got more HP than Cheshire, which is impressive. Obviously doesn't have that AA capacity. She's not a torpedo gun boat. She has her main gun +1. That's great. DPS looks like it could be concerning, but let's see if the skills fix that. Skill number 1, 30% chance upon main guns firing to cause the main guns, her own main guns, to deal 1.5 times damage. So 150% for 3 seconds, and her AA is increased by 15% for 5 seconds. This has a 5-second cooldown. This actually reminds me a lot of Birmingham. Actually, now that I think about it, this ship reminds me a lot of Birmingham here. She is going to be able to have a lot more main gun damage. Vanguard main gun damage is not always fantastic, but it looks pretty doable here. Also focus on AA, kind of like Bremerton 2, but not that great at it. We'll see what the skills 2 and 3 do. When alive, main fleet ships take 5% less damage. That's pretty good. So your whole backline just gets a damage reduction. That's cool. At the start of the battle, she gets a random buff. There are 4 of them. A self-evasion stat by 12% boost, self-accuracy/hit stat by 12% boost, self-firepower boost by 12%, or a self-heal by 15%. All really good. Kind of weird that it's random, so you might not get the one that you need. You might get the heal in PvP, or you might get the evasion when you need firepower, or you might get firepower when you need the heal, but they're all pretty good. The randomness is kind of funny. Overall, this is just a solid skill. Skill number 3, every 20 seconds in battle, fire a barrage. This is the weird, funky, spinny barrage. If this is the only ship in your Vanguard when this triggers, so 1-1 fleet, become lost for 2 seconds? Oh, lost is meaning that her speed is reduced to 0, so she gets stalled for 2 seconds. So I guess you can't use this with a 1-1 fleet effectively. Every 20 seconds, she's just gonna get frozen. I guess that's a character trait from her idolmaster days. This ship looks alright, honestly. For having new players who might not have too many good heavy cruisers, this will fulfill that heavy cruiser role in a lot of hard modes. I'd put her just above Portland in strength, which is what a lot of new players have off the bat from general builds. So not a bad pickup. It's going to be basically free because it's from the shop. Happy with this. All right, next up we have Ami Futami. And actually I'm going to add in Mami Futami, her twin. Both are submarines. Both have the identical same stats. So we aren't going to talk too much about them. We're going to put them together. These stats, they're terrible. So unless they do something fun in the skills, go with your standard SR subs that you're already using. Skill number 1. When entering the battle, reduce a random main fleet ship's speed by 1 for 1 second. That's your own ships. So they're slowing your own ship's speed down for 1 second. Hello, we're hitting the wrong people. Heal that ship for 100 HP and increase that ship's accuracy stat by 8% for 20 seconds. Oh, they got a heal. This is an on-submarine heal. I would be super excited about that, but 100 HP is practically nothing, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of a cool mechanic. Increase the accuracy stat by 8% is probably more important, but still not that crucial. The second skill is just firing a special barrage. It's not even that great. These ships are collection tier only. Last but not least, we finally have a partner for Kashino. We have another supply ship, so that's really exciting. She's the only ship we can compare her to. Stat-wise, she's less bulky than Kashino, but she's got more speed and evasion. But as always, it always comes down to the skills, especially for these supply ships. We get no more extra munitions gear from this event, so we're stuck with the old ones from when Kashino came out. The good one is locked to Kashino, so honestly she's not going to have any benefit from her special item type. She got 110% DD gun, so potentially with 3 auxiliary slots we could have some fun maybe. Every 20 seconds in a battle, fire a barrage. Fire an extra time at the 5-second mark, so we fire at the 5-second mark, the 20-second mark, the 40-second, the 60-second, and beyond. Enemies take 15% more damage from idolmaster ships for 5 seconds. That has some synergy with the rest of the event and is pretty good if you can time it. Unfortunately, 5, 20, 40, and 60 aren't great numbers to load up with all the time. Maybe with the carrier, although she has the cooldown reduction by 30%, so not even. And the battleship will likely fire too fast unless you get a 3-shot on her. Alright, well this doesn't time up that well. At the start of the battle, if the number of idolmaster ships in the fleet is equal to 3 or less, so we're actually hoping to use less idolmaster ships, she will count for one of these 3, and then you can only have 2 more for her to get this skill. Self-firepower by 100%. Holy crap. And the barrage is enhanced. This enhanced barrage is actually nice. Gets a lot more shells, so we definitely want to have less than 3 idolmaster ships. This is going to be pretty easy. Her by herself triggers this. Who wants to use more than 3 idolmaster ships anyway? 100% firepower is impressive. Obviously, she only has a base of 70, but she has 3 auxiliary slots. We have the new Fumo radar. She can put a fire control radar on them with the plus 13 equipment, and with using the plus firepower anti-air and a DD gun, this skill can get her to nearly 400, just under, about 350, I think 396 is the max. She can get theoretically to 396 firepower on a destroyer gun. That's a lot of fun, especially with the damage increase that she gives herself and potential buffs from other idolmaster ships. Ironically, she might actually have some DPS to stand here. Skill number 2. When equipped with a cargo item, given the last skill and that there are no new cargo items coming out in the this event, this is not a good start to this skill because she's probably not going to be having cargo items on her. Self speed reduced by 3. She gets slower? She's already slow as molasses. Why does she need to get slower? I mean, she's faster than Kashido, but like, really? I guess that makes sense. Now she has the item on board, so she has more weight and slower, but you know, I guess that's kind of neat, but also like, really? Self-ignite duration reduced by 3%. Flagship takes 15% less ignite damage. Okay, definitely less bulky than Kashino. She's got some DPS potential. Overall, this event is great for newbies. It's pretty simple, should be easy to clear. It gives you Neptune Gun, which is good for your battleship auxiliaries. We have a lot of options with the supply ship and the heavy cruiser, as well as the light cruiser, all being pretty decent for new players. The light cruiser giving you an alternative to Helena. The heavy cruiser giving you like alternatives to Remington. The supply ship has some funny gimmicks with her insanely high firepower on a DD gun, although London can kind of do this as well, but who doesn't like 110 main gun efficiency on a DD gun plus just under 400 firepower? The battleship even looks pretty good, although it doesn't have a min-max strategy, but that's okay for new players who want to use it for different roles. The best ship, I think, though, is going to be that aircraft carrier. We got a 233 loadout. That's fantastic. We got a reduced airstrike cooldown. We got a great mobbing barrage and a boost to reload and aviation. Good base stats as well. This is a great mob carrier. You just have to put her with one other. My favorite pick is probably going to be Haruka, but I don't know if I can resist putting in the meme ship of Ritsuko. The supply ship is really funny. And this heavy cruiser is not to be slept on. Pretty good for something you can get free from the shop. The item that has evasion is actually pretty good if you don't have a ton of evasion gears. It also gives hits, so it's going to be probably good for heavy cruisers. It can be equipped on a wider range of ships than the SG radar, and it does flip the 2 stats, so that is kind of nice. Since it won't be coming around again, I definitely pick it up. It should be pretty easy to pick up. It's going to be the mini event. Overall, a nice event. We have some things that are interesting. We have everybody's usable for those who really like idolmaster. For those of you who want to store cubes and get ready for a potential UR event during the JP anniversary, you have the potential to skip the event without losing much. We all have those very necessary PR4 prints that everyone needs to do, so you can't skip the event totally because you need to get the PR4 prints. And then, of course, we have the purchasable pack that's going to give us a head on PR4 that if you are going to spend money on the game, this would be something I would recommend you spend it on, outside of rings, of course. Overall, a nice middle of the summer event. We can take a little bit easy because we're only going through SP4. Tell me down in the comments what you guys think of this event. Who is your favorite ship? What surprised you the most? Are you going to skip the event? Are you going to grind it hard? Is this your first event? If this is your first event, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we come out with a ton of new information for Azur Lane players. And always, guys, take care. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.